Jake Asman sitting in for Bart and Hahn here on ESPN New York and the ESPN New York app. The guys have you covered on the K-Show this afternoon, so they're coming up in just a bit. But I am pumped up about who we're bringing on the show right now. He is one of my favorites. You watch him all over ESPN, where he is an ESPN NFL analyst. He is also the last head coach of the Jets that won a AFC East division title. Ladies and gentlemen, Herm Edwards joins us now. Coach Herm, always great to get you on the show. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, you're too kind. Who would have ever thunk it, right? It's been that long. Wow.
Let me ask you this, Coach, as we start with the Jets. When you look at this roster, obviously the health being the biggest caveat when you talk about this Jets team, do they have enough talent to win the AFC East?
No doubt. They do. And I think they will be excited with the opportunity to play with Aaron Rodgers, obviously. It's a tough division, as we know. You sit there and you look at the Buffalo Bills. I know they lost Stephon Diggs, but I don't think that's going to be a problem. I really don't. The Miami Dolphins, obviously, they just keep getting fast.
Uh-oh. Herm was saying too many nice things about the Jets. We lost them. See what happens on this station? You say nice things about the Jets. I try and be pro-Jets, be positive. Bring on the coach who won the division the last time. The New York Jets had a home playoff game, and we lost them. Unbelievable. Is that a bad sign for the Jets season now, I wonder? These are the things I think about.
I hope not.
We lose Herm Edwards mid-interview. Does that mean the Jets are destined for another failed year? Nothing will be worse than what I went through in person at MetLife on the opener last year. Nothing. If that didn't kill me, nothing will. At least I'd like to think so. But, man, that's tough. We're working on getting Coach back on with us. And we will continue to hear his thoughts on why the Jets hopefully will be AFC East champions. I believe we have Coach back with us. Coach, I got nervous when you dropped out. I'm thinking, is this a bad sign for my football team once again?
No, it's not a bad sign. You think about your football team. We talked about the Jets. Yeah, they have an excellent chance to get a playoff spot. Just think about it this way. They were 7-10 football team last year with really no offense at all. Now they have offense with Aaron Rodgers. He's going to win at least 3 games. Great quarterbacks win 3 or 4 games for you. So you got to look at it that way. Their schedule, is their schedule, but I think these guys will be excited about playing with Aaron Rodgers.
Herm, when you look at just Aaron Rodgers in general, obviously, there's just such an unknown on what he's going to be at this stage coming off the injury. Yeah. But the early reports are he's looked good, he's looked healthy. And then the other day, Robert Saleh chose to basically take some precaution and sit him down in a monsoon over at the Jets facility, not have him practice against the Commanders. What were your thoughts on that, and just your thoughts in general on Aaron potentially playing or not playing in the preseason?
Well, for me, I'm old school now, and I've been around a lot of quarterbacks and a lot of football players. At the end of the day, you play football. That's what you do, right? I mean, if you're a radio host, then you host radio shows. You don't not host them, and all of them are important. Regardless if it's football season, baseball, it doesn't matter. When it's football time, you got to play football. I say that as a former player. I don't say it as a coach. We had preseason games when I played. They can say, well, back in those days, we actually played 6 preseason games. I never missed a start in a preseason game. I think players need to play some, regardless of who they are. Age dictated it for me a lot. In other words, let's just say if you're an Aaron Rodgers, I would come to Aaron, as we got into camp and say, okay, how many reps do you need in the preseason? You need 25, you need 30. That's total. That's in 3 games, right? That's not in the 1 game. That's in 3 games to get him ready to play. There's a difference, these inter-squad scrimmages with the other opponents, that's great. But that's not the same. That's not getting in the huddle. There's no coaches. There's no lights. There's no people. You don't smell the popcorn. That's a different anxiety, and I don't care who you are, how many years you played. You want to get that in your system, right? And I think it behooves these guys, and this is why the game is so bad the first month of football. There's some sloppiness. There's sloppiness, especially on offense. Ball security, tackling on defense. All these things show up the first 4 weeks of the regular season, and people are winning games that shouldn't win games just because they're sloppy. And guys aren't in shape to play football.
Herm Edwards joining us here on Bart and Hahn. Jake Asman in for the guys. Coach, when it comes to Rodgers, right, so Robert Saleh has said it's going to be a collaborative decision if he plays in the preseason. I hear that and I go, if Aaron Rodgers in year 20 says to Coach Saleh, hey, I need a drive or two, I would assume that Rodgers would win that discussion, right? I mean, is that how you would handle it as well?
Yeah. I would hope Aaron wants to play. Look, he hasn't played football almost in 2 years now. Are you kidding me? He played 4 snaps. He missed the whole season. Look, as great as Aaron Rodgers is, he understands. Look, Joe Burrow got hurt last year. Last time I checked, he started in the preseason. Right? Patrick Mahomes, the best quarterback in the league. Right? I get it. It's a series of 2. These guys understand. I need to go play. I need to go play football. This is what I do. Look, 14 years have gone by since Aaron Rodgers won a Super Bowl. 14. And I get it. He's 40 years old. I understand that. You're not going to ask him to do a whole lot. He's going to throw some passes. He'll get it out of his hand real quick. He can see it. He can see pressure coming. But I would get him in the huddle. I think he would want to do that. Now, he might say, I don't need preseason games. That's fine. If that's how you feel, I would still find a way and ask him, hey, look, for the sake of the team, why don't you take some reps? It's 10 or 15 in a game. And here's the key with me in the preseason. There has to be one game where the starters, in the third quarter of a preseason game, they come out and start a series. Just to get used to going in the locker room and coming out at halftime and playing football.
Coach, some breaking news involving the team we're discussing, the Jets. Multiple reports are saying Hassan Reddick has requested a trade from the Jets. They obviously acquired him in a trade. He's been holding out, wants a new contract. Put yourself in Robert Saleh's shoes. How are you handling this Hassan Reddick situation? How do you prevent it from becoming a distraction for the rest of the team?
Well, look, you're in New York. This is what you deal with every day. There's always something floating around. I think this team, is well aware of this is the business side of football. San Francisco's going through it with Ayuk right now, right? There's numerous teams where guys are kind of holding out in Dallas, right? So you can see this, being part of it, but you always address the players this way. Hey, this is business for the player in the organization. I don't get involved in it. You guys don't need to get involved in it. It'll get settled. It'll get worked out. We just need to get ready to go to work and don't worry about the business side. One day, you as a player, you might be sitting in that player's seat. Let's see how he handles it to make sure you look at it and say, well, I handle it that way. That's the question you got to ask yourself. And then I move on. I just get away from it.
Coach, I just don't understand how the Jets acquired a player that wanted a new contract. They knew he wanted a new contract, and now it's getting to the point where he's requesting a trade because he never got that contract. I can't remember a situation where you basically acquired a contract dispute from another team.
Yeah, and the sad part about it, hopefully they were well aware of this when they decided to bring the player in, right, and acquire him. And if that's the case, then you should have been talking about that beforehand, knowing that, do we really want to sign this guy? And if we don't, give him the money he wants, is he going to sit out? Do we want to go through these gyrations of this, dealing with this during the preseason? So here we go. There's drama in New York again.
There's always something. You're right. Before we let you go, Coach, I know when you were with Arizona State, you got a chance to coach up Jayden Daniels, who made his debut against the Jets with the Commanders on Saturday. What did you think of him? What are your thoughts on him as a prospect going into his first year in the league?
Not surprising. Jayden is a talented player, and I think the more experience he gained in college, he played 56 college football games. But his ability to throw the ball down the field, that's one of his strong suits, obviously. The ball down the field. I can remember he would throw that to Ayuk a bunch. He was one of the receivers we had, right? And then his ability to run, and that's a problem, especially in the red zone or anywhere on third down. You have to account for him. And I told him this when I first had him, when I had him as a freshman, played about 2-3 seasons. I told him, I said, you remind me of, everybody's saying Lamar Jackson. It's not Lamar Jackson. It's Randall Cunningham.
Wow.
About the same height, same length, the whole deal. And I played with Randall in Philly, but he's similar to Randall Cunningham. He really is. If you go back and look at tape from Randall Cunningham, but I think he's off to a fast start. It was good to see a lot of those young quarterbacks play. that is uplifting for the league. When you think about 6 picks, in the first 12 picks, right? First round players, and they all got in there and played. They all played fairly well, which is good. And you want them to all be successful. You really do, because the league's better when the quarterbacks can play well, right? So it was fun to watch these young guys, and hopefully they'll get more reps and get opportunities. And there's a couple of them. I just think the flat stardom. I get it. I get it. They don't have any experience. Well, the only way to get experience is to play. They have more talent than maybe the veteran that is the guy you're thinking about starting, but don't do that to your football team. The players know who the best players are. And the players will live with a rookie quarterback if he's talented enough where they go, man, this dude's going to be really good. We need to get him going now.
Coach, you're the best. Really appreciate your time. Glad the phone held up. Maybe, the Jet season's back on after all.
They'll be okay. They got an airplane to fly in. They're going to be all right.
He's Coach Herm Edwards, ESPN NFL Analyst, former coach of the Jets, of course, with us on ESPN New York. We'll take a quick break.